she can't beat Io Sky, or maybe it's both. I kind of wonder, kind of where that all goes for Rhea Ripley. But I wanted to make sure that we took time to talk about that TLC match. I thought that TLC match was, amazing. There was so much going on in that TLC match. But what was interesting is, so we had, who was it? The Wyatt Six, DIY, the Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits, Andrade and Rey Fenix, and Fraxium, all in there. And SmackDown has done a really interesting job of telling the story of their tag division by having it all, like, all these teams interact. The tag division on SmackDown specifically is really its own kind of side story to everything else going on. So SummerSlam becomes this moment where that whole division explodes. And it was the 25th anniversary of the 25 years since the original TLC, which was at SummerSlam 2000. I don't know that they've ever done a 6-team TLC. And not only do you have a 6-team TLC, but you have it with Uncle Howdy involved. You have it with Nikki Cross involved. You have it with B-Fab involved. And of course, you have it with Candice LeRae involved. And I got to tell you, I went into this match convinced, right move here to have Andrade and Rey Fenix win this thing. But sometimes you just watch a match happen and it unfolds in front of you and it just changes your perspective on what should be going on. And as I watched it from the floor at MetLife, I was like, dude, DIY is the team. You got to give it to DIY, to the point that I was disappointed that DIY did not actually win the match. The whole act, I thought that, like, when Nathan Frazier climbed the ladder, Tommaso Ciampa is hanging off that ring. First of all, the idea that 2025, the Jeff Hardy spot, still just as big a spot as it was then. And I think it'll be that big of a spot forever. That's how you know you've got a forever moment. When you can keep referencing it in matches and people are just as impressed now as they were all those years ago. That's remarkable. It's very, very rare for that to happen. It's very, very difficult to have a moment like that. But I think that them putting a twist on it, Nathan Frazier goes for it. Tommaso like jumps off the ladder towards Tommaso. Tommaso gets his feet up. Frazier misses but rolls through, so still lands on his feet when he goes down. And Tommaso is like hanging upside down on that thing, that the belt holder that they hang from the ceiling. What the hell was that? That was insane. And then Candice LeRae's bump. The bump that Candice LeRae took, where like she is on the ladder gets tipped, and she crashes all the way down to the outside of the ring. It was like it threw like other ladders and just cracks those other ladders as she falls down. It was absolutely remarkable seeing that TLC match, and realizing that like TLC as a concept is something, it must have been so far ahead of its time that that you can still kind of do what you did then, and it blows you away still. It's still, you're still just sitting there watching it with your mouth on the ground. And I don't know that that's ever going to change. I don't know that the TLC match will ever not have that level of have that impression, have that level of the ability to like make people go, oh my God, you have no idea what I just saw. I think that's great. It's just such a rare thing. The Wyatt Six ended up winning, which I was surprised by because I thought this would kind of be the perfect way to the titles off the Wyatt Six, because you don't have to beat the Wyatt Six. And I mean, look, maybe you don't want the titles off the Wyatt Six, and that's fine if you don't want the titles off the Wyatt Six. But I guess, I don't know, you just end up in a scenario where it's so easy to do it, you might as well, and that's probably a bad reason to take the title off anybody. But I really thought that's where it was going, and I suppose it did not. But what I did enjoy was Bayley's inclusion. I did enjoy, as well as TLC, I should say, because obviously I enjoyed TLC a lot. Bayley's inclusion in the Lyra Valkyria Becky Lynch match, where now Bayley went in and tried to help Lyra, but in reality, what she got in return was this because of Bayley's accidental interference. Now, because of Bayley's accidental interference, you end up with Lyra Valkyria not getting a shot at the tag team championship. I mean, at the Intercontinental Championship. You end up with Lyra Valkyria now, and it's a good thing, because now, like, Lyra can get off this Becky Lynch story, because honestly, there is no more story going forward with Lyra and Becky. Like, it's been done. Becky won this one. She won the war. She won the battle. Maybe there'll be another war at some point in the future. But, like, now you go to Lyra versus Bayley. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how they react off of each other, if one will turn heel, if one will, I don't know. I've kind of been okay with the idea of either one turning heel. I guess right now, coming off of that match, I almost feel like being a little bit more aggressive as a babyface might be a good thing for Lyra Valkyria. I do think her stock has gone up quite a bit due to this rivalry with Becky Lynch. And I think that Bayley getting a character change might be a good thing. This idea of, well, Bayley's got to figure out who she is. Like, if you're saying that, then maybe it is time for a full-on refresh. And Bayley becomes this heel. And I think that in that, fans would get on board with that. I think that would be the move that I would make as you move that rivalry forward. And then for Becky, I mean, who would be next in line for that Intercontinental Championship? If you're talking about the women on Monday Night Raw, I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, who would be a great opponent for Becky doing the Kabuki Warriors. So I don't know. That would be the thing. I mean, maybe Stephanie Vaquer is going for the Women's Championship against Naomi. You could have either Becky could either go against, probably not Rhea, maybe Io. Io and Becky would be great. Or, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez lost the tag team championship to Charlotte and Alexa. So maybe one of them goes for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I don't know. That's another blow-off. There are multiple stories here that I feel like all need to be refreshed. And I think over this week, we'll start to feel what that refresh looks like as we build towards Clash in Paris. So unlike this one, you had a little less time between Saturday Night's Main Event / Evolution and SummerSlam than you do between SummerSlam and Clash in Paris. But Clash in Paris is still this month. Clash in Paris is the end of August. So I think that road begins kind of right away. But it just felt like overall that SummerSlam kind of used to be the conclusion of the summer. And then they would kind of rebuild going towards Survivor Series. And Survivor Series wouldn't be till Thanksgiving. So SummerSlam, so it'd be like, June, July, you start telling your SummerSlam stories, and then boom, you have the big blow off at SummerSlam. And then you quiet down a little bit, and then you start building towards Survivor Series, come off of that, take a rest for the holidays, build to the Royal Rumble, and now you're back on the road to WrestleMania. But it really feels like right now, I think that, first of all, I don't think that it doesn't seem like that's the WWE's thought on doing things anymore. Which I think, based on the amount of people that they have, wrestlers, and based on how hot the product is right now, it probably shouldn't be. If it's at all possible, the goal should probably be to just be hot and stay hot. Right? Just like maybe you're not always going to be your tippity top, but there's no reason to have cool down periods, really. And I think that's where they're headed. I think that what you're looking at is bouncing off of SummerSlam. You have a huge look between Seth being the champion. So here are the real, at least on the men's side. I mean, you have a whole new thing with Charlotte and Alexa, which is killing it. Tiffany Stratton has defined herself as WWE Women's Champion. You've got Naomi, who is now for sure Women's World Champion after successfully defending against Rhea and Io. You have Rhea trying to figure out who she is. Dominic goes up on SummerSlam, and even though AJ is dressed up as Eddie Guerrero and portraying Eddie Guerrero and trying to play all these mind games, it's Dominic that's able to literally use an Eddie Guerrero trick against a guy wearing Eddie Guerrero tights to win that match. And by the way, they better put that AAA championship on Dominic. All I want to see is Dominic in that, a double belt Dominic. I mean, come on. What other option do you have right now? And that main event men's division, you've now got three things I've got to get to the bottom of when they have what they want. There's a power attributed to that title. What does it look like when Seth's group actually has that power? Okay? That to me is this idea of Seth's group now is a completely different group. They said the whole reason that their group existed was because they're the future, and in order to lock down that fact and what the future is going to be, in order to do that, they had to get all the power, and that means getting the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, they did it. They did it. So what now? How does Seth's group exist now that they have everything that they wanted? So that's number one. Number two, Cody Rhodes is WWE champion. Everything else aside, put everything that happened in that match aside, put it all of it aside. Deal with the reality that Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion. So what does the future look like for him going forward? I would think Drew. I'm going to look at this SmackDown roster real quick while we have a second. But I would really think that Drew is where you go with Cody, the WWE champion. I don't think you're going back to Cena. I don't think that anything there is going on. I do think that there is something to be said that the SmackDown roster, and it starts getting hungry again. John Cena isn't the champion. It's the guy that's here all the time that's the champion. Maybe I can get that title from him. You know what I wouldn't be shocked at? I wouldn't be shocked to see The Miz go on a quest for the WWE Championship. The Miz slapped Jacob Fatu in the face. The Miz said he's back. Miz got aggressive. I would not be surprised if maybe it's for the September pay-per-view, maybe whatever. But I think you're looking at Cody versus Drew. I think you're looking at Cody versus The Miz. And then who knows what you got going forward. Eventually, I do think that if Cody keeps the title on him, and I would imagine that he would, there's a strong possibility that Roman versus Cody for the WWE champion is your WrestleMania 42 main event in Las Vegas. But Cody as the WWE champion, and what does that all mean, is my second thing that I'm looking at. And then number three, Brock Lesnar. What is Brock Lesnar doing back in the WWE? Why is he attacking John Cena? What's his motivation? How does he feel about everything else that's going on in WWE? There is so much unknown about what's going on, and all those people. I mean, think about it. I got Cody, Seth. You got Roman. You got Brock. You got Jacob building. Like, the main event scene in WWE right now is absolutely insane. I mean, I also want to know, like, where is Tiffany going to go? Right? Who is Tiffany's next kind of big rivalry going to be with? You know, you wonder if it's going to. I mean, maybe Jade Cargill goes for a rematch, but I don't think so. You know, you could say Julia is going to jump in, but Julia is the United States champion already. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair are off the table because they're the women's tag team champions. I don't think they're going to go for a solo title at the same time. Maybe Chelsea Green's going to get the push ski. I'll tell you, if Chelsea Green ends up getting that push ski, I'd be very careful if they want to keep Tiffany Stratton a babyface. Because as I said, it was at SmackDown in Newark, and I mean, the reaction that Chelsea Green got was pure good guy, babyface of the century. So, you know, can't wait to see where all that's going to go. Or who knows? Maybe there'll be call-ups from NXT. Maybe there'll be at some point another draft. It's all, you know, it's all very, very possible. But what I can say, that with all this stuff floating around out there and everything that happened, things happened. Wrestling is the best when things happen. And a ton of things happen. And it has completely shifted kind of everything and where everything is going in the WWE. Maybe Seth Rollins has Sami Zayn step up to him.